This is no joke, guys. The fun never stops on DOHO 2 here. Now it's leaking coolant again, and first it was the hose right here, so I tightened the clamp, and then it was fine. And then it was leaking out of the old radiator cap, so I just got a new one. It was like $9-10, and now it's leaking out of the thermostat housing. So I figure I'm gonna go in there and probably replace the thermostat anyways, but also the gasket for the housing here. And that is gonna be a project, as I just looked up a how-to video on YouTube on how to do that. So that's what we're gonna be tackling in this video. And you know, come on, man, knock on Plasti Dip pop-up headlight that this thing will just work and not break down on me again before this May or June when I donate to somebody. But whoever I donate to, of course it's still going to be a project. There's no question about that. But I just wanted to just be reliable, man. But that's what you get when you buy old cars. So you get that's what you get into here. I was gonna say you get what you paid for, but I guess that's true. It was really cheap, but that's what you get into with 26-year-old cars. Step 1, pull the e-brake up. Step 2, put the car in gear since I'm on a slight decline. Step 3, chuck both wheels. Both the rear wheels, I should say. Step 4, jack up the car on either side in the front with the floor jack, and then put jack stands on either side for extra safety. Step 5, spray your upper radiator hose and your two 12mm bolts and let that penetrating oil soak in, so they'll be easier to break apart and take off in a little while. Step 6, take off your radiator cap so when you drain the fluid cooling out the bottom, it'll flow out easier. Step 7, grab a container to hold your coolant that you will put back in the system once you're done replacing the thermostat. And unscrew this plastic plug with a Phillips head, and pray that this container is big enough to hold all the coolant. Here we go. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Oh man, that coolant actually looks pretty good. Nice and green and not too dark and murky. My gosh, that is filling up fast. Step 8, undo your sensor. I just put my thumb on the back side of it and push in. Pull up. Yeah. And also there's a little tab right there you can pop off with a flathead so you can move the sensor out of the way. Or actually I'll probably just keep it on there since this is all a bracket. So when you take that bolt off, this bracket will be able to slide out of the way. Step 9, loosen the clamp on your upper radiator hose, the back clamp. I'm going to leave the front one on. And then see if your radiator hose will slide off. And slowly but surely we have success. And then you can just tuck that down to the side. Ooh. Hey, it landed perfectly in the container. What do you know? Step 10, take your thermostat housing bolts out. I already broke them loose with two hands off video so I could be careful not to snap bolt heads off, because I have done that before on older cars. Once you take the bolts out, and take your thermostat housing off. Step 11, peel off your old gasket, and then note the orientation of your old thermostat where your notch mark is and your arrow, and then take it out. I'm gonna put a flathead in here. Just pop it off. And remove. Okay, just to clarify, the main point of this video was to replace this gasket because I believe coolant was leaking out of the thermostat housing, because this gasket looks pretty old. But while I'm in here, I might as well replace the thermostat, so I ordered a new one. And because this car has 183,000 miles on it, so I might as well, you know. And so step 12 is I'm gonna stuff a rag down in the housing inside. And then I'm going to take a old gift card and scrape off the gasket residue around this surface here, and I'll do the same thing on the top of the thermostat housing and clean that up. So I'm not entirely satisfied with the gasket material I took off from the face of the thermostat housing with just the credit card and, you know, some brake clean and whatnot. So I'm going to use this little tiny little rotary brush that I found in my garage with the Dremel, and it's just nice to see what tools your dad had growing up, and now I can find them in the garage without having to go out and buy something. So yeah, not too shabby. So I switched attachments to this it's like a steel brush type deal. It seems to be a little softer than like steel wool, and it's making this face of the thermostat housing look better. And so I just hope I didn't scratch the aluminum or anything, and that it's the soft brush like I think it is. So we'll do the same thing to the other face, and then put the thermostat in, new thermostat in. The old thermostat looks pretty good. I think it's still fine. It's just preventative maintenance. And then I'll put the new gasket in too and get this put back together. Here's the new thermostat going in, and I tested it by sticking it in boiling hot water, and it did in fact work and open up. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in here, take out my old rag, and grab it by the top. And my arrow was facing to the about 10 o'clock position, so that's where I have this one going in. And that's about good right there. And just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna put a little dab of Permatex black gasket maker around the edge just to be sure I don't have any leaks. So I'm gonna do that, put the upper thermostat housing back on, put the bolts in, torque it down. I don't have a torque wrench that is in foot-pounds. I only have this small one that's in inch-pounds. And in the video I watched, it called for 17 foot-pounds, and you just multiply that by 12 if you want to get that in inch-pounds. And luckily, mine goes up to 204 inch-pounds. Well, it goes up a little higher, 250, but I almost maxed out this little baby torque wrench here, but thankfully I can do that. Because I like to, on aluminum stuff, I like to torque stuff down to spec rather than do it by feel, just to be sure I'm not, you know, going too tight and warping any aluminum parts or possibly breaking them too. So okay, I just did all that with two hands. Didn't want to hold the camera and try to do it with one hand because I didn't want the upper housing, you know, shifting around a little bit while I was putting the bolts in and tightening them and then using the torque wrench on them. So I got all that done. It's torqued down to 17 foot-pounds, and the gasket, black gasket maker pressing out between the flanges a little bit, so looks pretty good. We'll only be able to tell for sure once I start this puppy up after I finish the rest. So that was step 13, and step 14 is to reconnect your thermostat temperature sensor. And step 15 is take a little heavy-duty silicone and I spray it on the inside of my hose here. And that way my hose will slide better over the mouth of the thermostat housing. Just like that. And then you just want to tighten up your clamp here.
Not gonna spill that on me, are you?
Let's hope not.
Or in this jacket.
I won't. I'll come over from this side. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
See, don't move it. Keep it right there.
Oren, let me roll my sleeves up.
Okay. I guess you should roll your sleeves up first. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Alright, so I've got it all put back together, filled up the coolant, turn it on, let it run, let it warm up, turn the heater on full blast, and squeeze the upper radiator hose to push any air bubbles out of the radiator cap when I had it off. Put it on, and I'm going to shut it off, get it off the jack stands, fill up the reservoir if I need to, and hopefully no leaks. And hopefully that is the end of my coolant leak woes, and this Miata can keep on cruising for a few more months under my ownership. And also a little bonus, if you look closely at the plasti dip job I did, you might be able to see the blue sparkles, the blue microflake that I put over top of the Reptile Flip gloss color shift color. So actually the iPhone camera is picking up kind of a little bit here and there. You see all those blue microflakes? I just thought it was pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching. Alright, I'm back here about a week later, and here's the deal, guys. I did fix the leak out of the thermostat housing with the new gasket, and of course new thermostat's in there. It's great. Engine warms up just fine, and gauge in the dash is great. It goes up to, vertical operating temperature once the engine warms up. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but down in here is my AC condenser in front of the radiator, and that is leaking. So that must have been leaking all the while, but I mainly noticed it when I popped the hood. It was obviously coming out of the thermostat housing, but there's some residue on the ground, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you got some leaks here and leaks right here, and it's easier to see in person, but the front of the AC condenser is just wet. So it's just, that is another step along in the trying to fix up the Miata, the DOHO 2. So at this point, honestly, I'm saving up to move out of my parents' house. So I mean, I'll see what I can do. I might fix this, but I might end up just donating the Miata and passing it along to the next person so they can treat it as their own little project. So I've fixed some of the stuff, but I mean, that's what a 26-year-old car is. It's a constant ongoing project, and if you want to keep it running, stuff's going to break, so you got to fix it. So anyways, see you later.